Welcome to another episode of What's the Point podcast, a unique show about men and their mental health. There are no doctors, no professionals, just real men talking about real stuff. And now, the What's the Point podcast, where you are the point.
Welcome, everyone, to a brand new edition of What's the Point podcast. We are here from the lovely studios of the Tom Bernard podcast. We are excited to be back and hopefully provide some very helpful information for our listeners today. We've got a topic that doesn't get talked about enough.
You okay there? You kind of falling apart?
My phone fell. Oh,
that happens.
Here we go. Anyway, so this is going to be a really interesting show because we're going to talk about something that really needs to be talked about a lot more, and we're going to dive into it in just a little bit. But I am lucky. I am lucky to be joined by the producer of What's the Point podcast and the Tom Bernard podcast, Mr. Andy Bernard.
Hello, everyone.
Do you only have the two? Are there any other podcasts you can do?
Just the two for now.
Huh. You need to find some more.
Increase my repertoire of podcasts.
Yeah, it's all about branding and all that kind of stuff. We're also joined by the coach, Mr. Mark Wick.
Well, great to be back here. Great to have you in studio. It's kind of nice to have the A-team here today. Get rid of some of the dead weight. It's good.
Wow, and I was going to say that leads us up to Mr. Mark Meier, but of course he's not here with us today. No. He decided there are things more important in his world than being here with us and providing valuable information to men that may be struggling.
And he reminds us it's his world. We're just living in it.
Yeah. He actually was upset that we decided to do this without him, but so he'll just be surprised when this happens.
Yeah,
I told him we weren't doing anything.
Yeah.
And same for our guest. Our guest is, we don't have a guest.
Yep.
So no Meier and no guest.
Yep.
I wonder if they're together.
Doing their own show?
Could be.
Never know.
Start searching podcasts for the Mark Meier effect.
Yeah. The Mark Meier experience?
Yes, something like that. Anyway, so it's just going to be the three of us today. But even though it's just the three of us, I still have a question for you guys.
Okay, good.
And the answers to this one is going to be pretty obvious, so I count on you guys to nail it. Of people living in the United States, what are the top 5 travel destinations in the world?
Hawaii has got to be on there, I would say. Or are we talking about volume, or if you were to ask people where?
Asking people where they want to go.
I don't know.
England. U.S. people going somewhere else.
Right.
I'm going to go London.
Yeah, absolutely.
Paris.
Italy somewhere. Probably Rome.
Rome would be good. I'm going to go off of Hawaii.
The 5th one.
That's a long one. I'd say maybe Australia.
That is a long way.
That's a long one.
Isn't that like a 16-hour flight?
Oh, yeah,
at least, I think.
Yeah, it's like...
Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool to be there. I'm going to wait till they teleport people.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, make it nice and easy.
So, I'm pretty confident on destination spots. I'm going to say New York City.
Huh, interesting. As I said, these were very easy.
Yeah, we got none of them.
You guys did great. You got number 2, which was Vancouver.
How could I miss Vancouver?
You got number 3, which is London.
Okay. Yeah, we did get
number 4 is Rome.
Okay.
Number 5 is Paris.
Okay.
Number 1.
We missed number 1.
And I think it has to do with cost and proximity, really.
The Dells.
Wow.
No?
I don't think Wisconsin.
Mall of America.
I threw you off on this one. Cancun.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
I'd rather go to Hawaii than Cancun.
Someplace in Mexico.
Yeah, Hawaii wasn't even on the list. Wasn't even in the top 10.
Well, Hawaii isn't cheap, though.
Yeah.
Because
and that
again,
could be part of the list, too. Why would you want to go there?
And the farther.
Yep.
But Cancun, everybody, or Mexico in general.
I mean, spring breakers.
Yep.
I mean, you remember back, they probably didn't have spring break
We
when
didn't
you
have
were there.
spring break when
But
I
when
was there.
Andy was young, he probably went down to Cancun for spring break.
Yeah, how did you get the horse and buggy over the...
Well, over the water.
Yeah.
And
Well, horses can swim.
Yeah.
Yeah, but hauling the luggage.
They get tired after a while.
Yeah.
So with that said, those are the top 5 that are people that are polled of locations. Where is one place you haven't gone that you really, really want to go?
My number 1's probably somewhere in Japan. And I mean, it's going to be a long time before because that is another very, very long flight.
Is it? How long do you think that is?
It's got to be 12 hours.
See, I'm not that committed to anything.
No,
that
that's the
long.
thing. That's like you gotta go there for like a month because the flight is so long. Like, let's say you go there for a week. Day 1 is ruined because of the flight.
Yeah.
Day 7 is ruined because of the flight, which
Right.
means you're only really there for 5 days, and you got the jet lag for the
Yeah.
first day or two.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's 11 hours from Los Angeles.
Actually,
so-
Japan was number 6 on the list.
yeah, it's not
Yeah.
surprising.
Yeah. What about you?
Oh, that's a great question. I think I would love to go to Norway, but, and my wife would go there, but she's been there a couple times because she has family there, and I've never made the travel squad for that trip. She took 2 of our kids, but in that Scandinavian area, Switzerland is a place I would like to visit. Switzerland.
Switzerland would be nice.
Yeah.
How about you?
I think, I think before this last summer I would have said Alaska.
And that was on my
But
list
I've
too.
been there. It is beautiful. It is absolutely gorgeous. I think I'm more of like an outdoor visual guy now. So I'm thinking maybe like Banff in Canada.
We went to Banff like 10 years ago as
Really?
a family.
Yeah?
Yeah, it is very, like the mountains and the
Yep.
water and everything. It's,
Yep.
yeah, if you want to see nature
That
and
would be
spend
cool.
a lot of money,
Yeah.
go to Banff.
That would be cool. And maybe like Iceland. Again,
I've always wanted to go to Iceland.
Northern Lights and all
Yep.
that kind of stuff. I think that would be super cool.
Well, Iceland is like borderline an alien planet because like the whole thing is all volcanic rock that people live on, and there's like puffins. You don't see puffins anywhere else, and
What the hell's a puffin?
it's like almost like a penguin kind of, but
Aw, I like penguins.
it's more or less like a penguin, but I don't know. The beak is more.
And you talk to some of
Puffiny.
those places like Iceland, and and I think of Norway and those places.
Yep.
Like, when would you like to go there? Because I think it'd be beautiful in the wintertime,
Right.
But very cold.
But yeah.
but dark.
yeah.
The darkness
yeah.
piece. You know,
Yep.
and my wife had taken our kids to see her family in Norway. I was right when school ended in June, and it's like never dark.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and we ran into that in Alaska because we were there in July when there's 22 hours of sunlight.
Yep, I was just
Well, I mean, there's a window about that big you might see northern lights. I mean, when
But
they
exactly.
do happen, it's incredible.
Yep.
But good luck. You need to go
Yep.
either early in the spring or in the wintertime.
And
And
the-
as we learned about the wintertime, it's 4 hours of daylight a day, and
Yep.
it averages about 20 below.
yep.
So
But the
below?
Northern Lights
Yeah.
are unbelievable. I bet.
yeah, I can imagine with the ice and the glacier. I mean, just
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
But there's the cost of that.
But yeah, way cold.
And
so yeah,
we talk about mental health,
right. Good luck with that.
living in those places,
Yeah.
because we're kind of at that point here now.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that today a little bit.
Darkness, like on the West Coast, some of the places get dark and rainy, but at least they're not 20 below all the time.
Right.
You know.
Yep.
So
Yep.
That's true.
the only interaction you have is like a bear walking by or something. So anyway, well, thanks for playing along with my question. It's good to know, and I hope you guys get to Japan and wherever you
Switzerland,
want to
yeah.
go.
Like I said, gonna be a while. Kids are 18, basically.
Yeah, that's it.
I'll be in my 60s.
And that was like Alaska for us. It's kind of a trip of a lifetime. It takes a
Yeah.
lot of planning and a lot of time
Yeah, you go
off.
once for a long time, and then
Yeah.
that's what you did.
Yeah. So, well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about loneliness. We're going to talk about men being lonely and what does that mean. So we'll be right back after this.
At Brand Inc., we know your business's reputation rides on every detail, especially when it's on the road. Our commercial vehicle wraps combine eye-catching design, 3M-backed installation, and a seamless process built for busy teams. Whether it's one truck or an entire fleet, we help you turn heads, build trust, and grow your business. Your vehicles are always moving. Make sure your brand moves with them. Start your project at brandinc.com. That's Inc with a K, brandinc.com.
You're listening to the What's the Point podcast, where you are the point. And now your hosts, Mark Meier, Bill Deckus, and Mark Wick.
Except not.
Welcome back. Yes, except not. We need to change our back music in because we're missing Mark Meier today. In case you missed the opening segment, he is off on a trip. I don't know.
To Vancouver?
Yeah, maybe Vancouver. I don't know. One of the top 5 places.
Yeah.
No, actually, I think he's still in the region, but he's just preoccupied today. As I mentioned in the first part, a lot of guys have trouble with loneliness. We don't really even identify with it. When you think of someone being lonely, you probably think of someone in your life that's all by themselves. Maybe they're single or they're divorced, widowed, whatever it may be, or they're just by themselves a lot. And that's not really loneliness, is it? I looked up a definition, and they talked about social isolation and disconnection. We hear it at Face It a lot, where there are guys that can be in a room of 100 different people and still feel lonely. How can that be?
The first thing I thought of, and I appreciate you reading that definition, because, when I think of that loneliness, a lot of times it's lack of connection.
Yeah.
We can be around people.
So kind of just the opposite of what we think it might be.
Right. We can be at a mall, still be lonely.
Right.
Because we don't have a connection with anybody.
Wow.
Right. And how do we make a connection? Right. Is one of the things. And obviously, for a lot of people, there's family issues, and there are some people that are by themselves, and they spend a lot of time by themselves, and that we certainly understand that lonely piece.
Right.
But it's the connection piece, and looking for being heard, validated, those types of things.
I came across a study when I was doing prep work for the show.
Yep.
On the drive here. And there's a study that just took place about a year ago that said over 20% of men report loneliness as being one of their major problems.
Yeah, I can believe it.
They said it's up from, in the year 2000, it was at 3%.
Wow.
Yeah.
And again, I think it goes back to what you talked about, being a lack of connection.
Well, everything is more online now because you're literally alone a lot of the time. Like, before I met Melissa, I spent a lot of the time gaming.
Yep.
But I was always gaming with people. I was either, playing an online game or something like that, or I was playing a game with a friend, but I wasn't in the room with that friend. I was in the room by myself, and he was in another state, and, we were voice chatting and all that stuff, so, there was a presence there, but there was no physical presence, and it's getting much more like that, where you don't need anyone around you to do stuff. Because if you think about it, gaming is all online. People are watching movies and TV shows. They're watching them online. They're scrolling social media online. And these are all solo activities, really. Anything you do on your phone is a solo activity because it's a phone. It's too small to share a screen with someone.
Mm-hmm.
This same study talked about there's a sharp decline in men that report having close friendships.
Yeah, I've had one for the past 20 years.
One what you'd consider really close friendship.
Yep. And that's kind of my personality,
And that is some of us.
It depends on who you are.
Part of my deal too, and I've talked about this in the past, I'm not sure if I've talked about it on here, but after doing some EMDR, some trauma type therapy, I struggle with abandonment issues. My father left when I was 7, basically. My mother died when I was 14. I felt abandoned. Mm-hmm. Well, for someone who's gone through that, it's really hard to make friends. Because if I become really good friends with you, you're going to leave me. Mm-hmm. And that's going to hurt. I don't want to do that.
Yep. So
it's kind of a double-edged sword. It would be better if I had friends, but it's hard for me to have friends just because of that. Mm-hmm. So it's the decline in really close friendships, whether it's our personalities, whether it's some of my stuff from my background. It could be all kinds of things. It could be like your personality.
Oh, that's been a big cause of a lot of that type of stuff. Absolutely. And one of the things that you're also talking about there, the words that come to mind as you're talking to me are fear, right? The expectation that, you can be a friend with somebody, but they're going to leave you.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's happened to you before, so why would you think? Well, it makes perfect sense for you to think that.
Sure.
Because you've experienced it.
Right.
And you think about the people that you have, right, that are friends, right? What makes them friends to you? What makes them close to you?
You know, one thing that's really big with me, and anybody that knows me knows this, is basically like respect, commitment, that kind of thing, follow through, that kind of thing. If I say, hey, do you want to go to dinner? And then 10 minutes before, oh man, you know what? I forgot. I got to go do something else.
Yep.
That's me trying to develop friendships, but then being turned away from friendships. The friends that I do have, I think, are people I can count on, people I can turn to, people that I trust.
I was going to say, trust comes to mind there.
And there's part of it too that they may still leave me, but at this point, if I can trust them, that's a big thing as far as I go, as far as my friendships go.
Yep. And is it also fair to say that when we trust somebody, we're more likely to be more vulnerable with them?
Totally.
To a degree.
And I think that goes kind of in the face of men in general, right?
Yep.
We're the masculine ones. We're the stoic ones. We're not supposed to be vulnerable, because if we are, then people can take advantage of us.
Yep.
And so we don't want to do that. So we hold ourselves, everything's at a distance.
Yep.
And we know that that's just the absolute wrong way to go about it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still, I think it's a big part of who we are as men a lot of times.
Right. So if we can't become vulnerable with other people, it's really tough to build a connection.
Right.
And if we don't have the connections, I think
That's where
that
is.
loneliness leads from. You know?
You know, go ahead.
I just said yeah.
Oh.
That's all I have to contribute.
I appreciate that input. Yeah. You know, it was a story I was reading, and it talked about men, and this is stuff when we've just been talking about, that men basically have shoulder-to-shoulder relationships and not face-to-face relationships. Basically, we've got our buddies we play poker with or bowl with or whatever, shoulder-to-shoulder, but we have very, very few relationships that are face-to-face.
Yep.
And again, I think it's fear. I think it's trust. I think it's vulnerability. I think there's so many things that lead into this loneliness part. You know, it wasn't until recently, just a few years ago, where the Surgeon General came out and talked about the dangers of loneliness. They said that at one point, loneliness is as bad as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It can affect depression, anxiety, you know, your heart, I mean, just all kinds of things with loneliness.
Yep.
And again, it's different because I know people that are alone, people at my age who have lost spouses. They've been together for 56 years now. The husband's gone or the wife's gone, and that's a different kind of loneliness. I can I can see that. I can touch it. That makes perfect sense.
Yep.
But to someone that goes about their normal day and is at work and doing this and that and goes to a concert now, and I mean, it's hard to imagine that person being lonely. You can't see it so outward, right?
Yep.
I think that's a big challenge for a lot of guys.
And I think there's some other people that we may assume are lonely that aren't really lonely because they have a lot of connections.
Yeah.
They might not have this big family or whatever, but they have people that they can reach out to and share things with.
Right.
And talk to each other and be heard and be validated. You know, I think that's one of the big things that we saw in social media, especially.
Right.
Like our connectedness became how many likes did we get?
Sure.
How many people, you know, responded to our social posts?
Right.
Or viewed them, or those types of things, you know.
And that was my next comment too. And Andy, this is kind of a little more your area, but I mean, social media, the effects on social media.
Yeah,
there was
absolutely.
a commercial a long time ago about Jeep that came out where this young girl was sitting at the kitchen table in front of her computer, and she was making fun of her mom and dad because her mom and dad only have like 17 friends on Facebook, and she's got 1,500.
Yep.
And the mom and dad were out with other couples. They were riding their Jeeps in the mountains and being out in nature.
Yep.
And she goes, I just feel so sad for them.
Yep. You do see that a lot on social media. You know, someone will say something and someone will chime in with like, says the guy with 30 followers.
Yeah.
It's like as if that actually matters at all.
Right.
I mean, like for something like a podcast, sure.
Right.
More followers ostensibly means more listeners, which is a good thing, but they're not your friends.
Right.
Right. Yep.
Well, and that goes back to what you talked about as far as gaming. I mean, it was probably good to have someone to at least interact with, but yet it wasn't this face-to-face type friend. It wasn't this close friend, this person that you could talk to and share stuff with or feel comfortable doing that.
Yep.
I mean, so then so there's it's like social media all the time. There's the good and the bad. I mean, so many people, I see it online a lot where Facebook allow you to do a fundraiser for your birthday. And people will put some charity or whatever the reason is, and then you'll look a few days later and they've raised, $7.
Yep.
And it's like, oh my gosh, I wouldn't put myself out there like that knowing that may happen.
No.
Yep.
I mean,
Because it's just kind of proof that no one really cares.
well, yeah. How does someone deal with that? Holy crap.
Yep. I also think that, I don't know when this will be aired, but right now we're in early December.
I think it's going to air on the 16th, so just the week before Christmas.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Like, how many people are really feeling that loneliness now?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I remember for a long time, my worst time of year was always New Year's.
Yep.
Because New Year's is like all about, it's a new year, new change. Everything's going to be a little bit better and getting together with all your friends and celebrating and that sort of thing. And I didn't do any of that. Because
Right.
every year was basically the same for me. And I didn't really have any friends to celebrate with. So I
Right.
was just always like, well, this sucks.
Well, and then we feel left out, right? Like we don't matter. We're not validated. We're not seen. I mean, New Year's Eve is a couples. Everybody's supposed to go out and drink
Yep,
champagne,
exactly.
and I don't drink, and I don't have a girlfriend, whatever it may be.
Yep.
Man, I must be a loser. That's why I'm so lonely.
Absolutely. And what are all the messages around this time of year, right? It's all family time.
Right.
We came from
Yep.
Thanksgiving.
Right.
We came, we're heading into the Christmas season. Like,
And even Halloween. Halloween is like take your kids out trick-or-treating.
Yep. And what a great time of year. Best time of year. But not for everybody. But when we're not,
Right.
what's wrong with me?
Right. And that's a whole nother, obviously it'll be a different time, but that's a
Yeah.
whole nother show is talking about the holidays. Obviously everybody knows about my mom. When my mom died, I mean, she was the patriarch of the family. Everything stemmed from there. Christmas and the holidays just got worse from that point on.
Yep.
I dread them. My darling wife and family know that I dread them more than anything. And now as I've gotten older, I've just gotten more frustrated with them.
Yep.
About buying gifts. This has got to be that, this and that. I was going to do a question about the best Christmas gifts. And the number one Christmas gift that people say they want now? Gift cards.
Yeah, that's what we asked for actually. It's not what we ended up getting, but it is.
But I mean, forever ago it was, in July I saw this really cool thing that Andy would love and I'm going to buy it for him and that kind of thing. Now I go to Walgreens and I do all my shopping.
Yeah.
And this is, okay, there you go, thanks.
Well, our problem is just we have kids,
Yeah.
so we have a lot of stuff.
Right.
And every new box of stuff is just another shelf that you have to occupy or another drawer that you have to fill and that sort of thing. And it is like we have a lot more stuff than we did 20, 30 years ago as a society. I mean, like.
Yeah.
Yep. But when you're feeling that way during the holidays or whatever's going on, sometimes what do we tend to do then? Isolate.
Well, we isolate because, like, for me, a lot of times, even if my family, my loved ones are all together and the kids and everybody's laughing and there's eggnog and there's all that stuff, I'm just overwhelmed with it.
Yep.
So what do? You know what? I'm going to go out and make sure the mailbox is cleaned off from the mail guy.
Yep.
I'm going to go bring my level out and make sure it's
Yep.
perfectly straight.
We're running low on eggnog. I'm going to drive to the store somewhere and go get eggnog.
Yep.
And again, it's isolation. It's escapism, if that's really a word. I mean, just to escape that situation. I don't know how that plays into loneliness, but it sure doesn't. Neither feels good for me. It doesn't feel good with all the commotion and all the stuff.
Yeah.
Because what that does to me, and this is a real struggle for my wife because she wants me to be happy and enjoy the holidays. But when I see happiness and family, it made me realize what I didn't have for all those years.
Yep. Yep.
And so that's bad. So I spend time by myself, but I don't want to spend time by myself because I know that's not good for me either.
Yep.
I mean, it's almost a no-win. We need to just go from, like you said, Halloween to July.
Yep.
I don't know. I think being alone is important. Like, no matter who you are. We teach kids from a very young age. They start getting overstimulated. They can't stop bouncing off the walls and their emotions are all over the place. And we say, all right, I think you need to go into a timeout or just go to your room and take 15 minutes to decompress.
Right.
And eventually we start acting like doing that is a thing for weirdos. Like if I was in a party and I said, I need to go to my room for 15 minutes and just like be by myself, people would be like, okay, weirdo.
What's wrong with Andy? Yeah.
But
yeah.
I think that's a thing that everyone needs at some point, no matter how old you are.
Oh, I agree. We need that.
Yeah.
But I also think we're social creatures.
Right.
We need that social connection too, and I think that to build that social connection,
Right.
takes work.
And that's the fine line, is carving out time for myself, or like
Absolutely.
Andy's talking about, but yet not being the one where everyone says, well, how come so-and-so is never here, never shows up, never comes, never, because then
that's
people
different.
talk. Because that's different, because then it's hard for my wife too.
Yep.
Well, I mean, wow, you really do have a husband? I didn't realize that, because he never came to anything. But it was just too much for me.
And then I think, Andy, to your point is we need that time for ourselves. And we're really good at doing everything for others, because I think that makes us feel like we're doing something else. See, I'm connected to all these people. I helped him go shovel his driveway. I helped, her haul in the groceries. I did this for this neighbor, right? See all these people that I'm around,
All right.
then we don't take time for ourselves.
Right.
And it's to find that balance.
Yeah.
You take time for ourselves, but what are we doing those things for?
Yeah.
Like, they're not really building a connection
Right.
for us. And how can we build that connection?
Yeah. And guys will say, you know what, I helped the neighbor shovel his driveway, so there, I've been social.
Exactly.
Give me a break.
Spend time with people
Yeah.
all day.
Yeah.
Yep.
Another thing I heard one time is I was talking to somebody about being an introvert, and they talked about all the negative parts about introvert. One guy spoke up. He said, you know what, being an introvert's not a bad thing.
No, I'm a hardcore introvert.
But that's the way it's presented when you think of the word introvert. Oh, he doesn't have any friends. He's almost a hermit. We take it to extremes, and it's not that at all. And I think I'm an introvert because that's where I recharge my batteries. I mean, my wife, God bless her, she draws energy from any source: a lamp, a person, a street light.
Yep.
And I'm not that way.
Yep.
And so.
Yeah, Melissa and I, we end a lot of nights. We put the kids to bed, and we go lay down in bed on top of the sheets, and we just like watch something. We don't even talk for most of the night because we just need quiet and we need calm, and we just need to be like ourselves for a while.
Yeah.
And that's how we, get back to baseline.
Yeah. Well, especially at the end of the day for you guys with kids and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, holy
But
crap.
like the idea of like, okay, it's 7:00. We're gonna get a babysitter and we're gonna go out on the town. I mean, I would just be miserable if that's how I had to live. But for a lot of people, that's the only way that they can recharge is they got to go out. We're gonna go out to a bar, or we're gonna go out we're gonna go out dancing or whatever, and that's what makes them feel energized.
Yeah. And that's my wife. Me. Oh my gosh. She's got all kinds of stuff on our calendar, and I just
Yep.
she probably won't listen to this, so I just roll my eyes like, oh my gosh, what can I do for this deal? Actually, her and I have gotten better. She understands a lot of this, and she'll say, you know what, I've got this on the calendar, but you don't have to go if you don't want, which is nice.
And two things real quick. Number one, I think because you're connected with your wife, you can share with her why you're not doing those things, why you don't want to do that. If Myers keeps calling us, guys, God dang it.
I don't know. Put his mic up to the phone, or put his phone up to the mic. See what happens.
I mean, I don't know if you failed
professionalism
podcast
Oh, I did.
school.
Oh, yeah,
I think
I'm a
that's
dropout.
one of the top one rules.
When his went off, I was hoping to make it to break.
Right,
To turn
yes.
that off. But anyways, you can be vulnerable in that connection. Right? And to share, and then it's okay. My wife was the same. She's like, I finally figured out. For me, she said, for her, people give her energy.
Right.
For you, people take it out. And you've given it during the day and stuff.
exactly.
So, it's not me.
Yeah.
It's what you do. I also think during COVID, we found out that a lot of introverts didn't like it.
Right.
Because they want some connection.
Right.
Right.
It's just not the majority of it. And even during that, introverts were saying, geez, I want to get out and see some people.
We need to do something.
Because it went way to that other extreme.
Well, I can say, for a fairly long period of my life, probably a solid 10 years, I didn't really have anything going on in my life, which meant I could do what I wanted when I wanted. And like a strong introvert like myself, the way that I lived seemed like I was living the dream. You know, I would play video games all day.
Yeah.
I would go out to restaurants and I would get whatever food I wanted. I ate whatever I wanted. I played whatever I wanted. I went to bed whenever I wanted, which was usually like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'd get home after work and I'd take naps, and then I'd feel nice and rested and, you know, watch some movies, that sort of thing. And I lived like that for several years, and I would say they were probably the most miserable years of my life.
Right. Yeah.
And like, if you had asked me at the time, it's like, oh,
Right.
do you want more people in your life? Do you want more structure in your life? I would say, of course not. Why would anyone want that?
Right.
You know, freedom is the best thing. You can do whatever you want all the time. But something about just having a purposelessness in your life really starts to wear on you, and you don't even realize it's happening.
Right.
Because you just start feeling like, well, like I said, every day is the same, every month is the same.
Yeah.
What is even the point of all this? And, you know, I wasn't, you know, sitting in bed going, you know, what is my purpose or anything.
Right.
But subconsciously, I think it was affecting me, and that's why I was so unhappy.
Yeah. Yeah, those are hard times. You know, I also, when I was reading up on this stuff, they talked about, you know, a lot of us get our emotional intimacy from our partner. And when that's not around, whether that person, whether divorced or what have you, I mean, loneliness comes in big time that way
yeah.
too. You know, Andy, you talk about you and your wife. I mean, Wendy and I will be home, just even if we're not talking to each other. We're not even in the same room, but we know the other person's there. Even that
Yeah.
makes a difference for us.
Oh, yeah. Melissa and I are basically always in the same room. We're just together all the time.
Huh.
But we're not, like you said, we're not always talking. We're not doing stuff together.
Right.
We're just like, you know,
Yeah.
we're both on the couch, or, you know, like she's at the kitchen table and I'm sitting in the chair across the room or whatever. But
Yeah.
we're always just kind of like there. So it's the presence that, you know, we like, I suppose.
We need to take a break, but we had an interesting conversation in one of my groups recently about being our authentic self and how exhausting it is to not be.
Yep.
Again, in your life that you had, if you had to go out all the time and go to the bars and hang out and do all this stuff with people all the time,
Oh, God, for a while, 15 minutes of that, and I was like, I need to go to sleep.
it would be exhausting because it's not who we are.
Yep.
I think finding our authentic self is another important thing. We're getting away from loneliness, but I think it all kind of plays in,
No, it
though.
does.
These are
Oh,
all
absolutely.
things that either people experience as loneliness, identify as loneliness, or really maybe should look into as far as loneliness goes.
Yep.
So, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about maybe what people can do to help break some of this cycle. So we'll be back right after this.
Launched in 2009, Face It is a Minneapolis-based nonprofit organization focused on working with men who deal with depression. Using a peer support model that leverages men's groups, mentoring, social activities like retreats, baseball games, and fishing trips, we provide more than 12,000 hours of free services to hundreds of men each year. And yes, I said free. We never charge for any of our peer support programs, and we will never ask you for a copy of your insurance card. If you're tired of feeling alone in your fight against depression, please visit us at faceitfoundation.org or drop Mark or Bill an email at info@faceitfoundation.org.
You're listening to the What's the Point podcast, where you are the point. And now your hosts, Mark Meier, Bill Deckus, and Mark Wick.
Oh, here we are back again. We are still Meyerless, which is we are mired in Meyerlessness. We were just talking about glasses and stuff, and it reminded me of the time a handful of years ago where my eyes were getting a little sketchy. I went in to get my driver's license renewed, and no offense to DMV people, but those people are just robots, man. I can't imagine all the crap they deal with. But I went up, and he says, you know, the lady says, put your head up against the thing.
Yep.
That I did, and I go, is this thing even on? And she goes, push your head forward. I said, oh, there it is. And she goes, read the fifth line. C, B, F, 6. Stamping, writing, stops, look up. She goes, read that again. I said, did I get any right? She goes, well, there are no numbers. Well, guess who has glasses now?
Well,
Do you know what your strength is? Like your glasses strength?
Oh, I was gonna say bicep curls.
I was gonna say
but
bench press, but yeah.
My eye strength. My glasses are just barely above like Walmart reader glasses. The prescription is so minor.
Okay.
But I can't see very well far away.
Right.
And whatever, isn't that nearsighted?
Yeah, that'd be nearsightedness. That's what I got.
I don't know who made that rule up. That sounds completely different. So
Well, because you're nearsighted, you can see things that are near.
Oh, okay.
That's
the first day I got these glasses, I had my own business. I went back to the office and I did work. I was leaving at night. I took off down the road, and up on the corner was an Arby's. And Arby's, I noticed on the sign for the first time ever, had a sale 5 for $10. It's like, these things are magic.
Magic. Wow.
Yep.
Well, quick story about my grandma who passed when she was 98. Ruth, at Quilters Club, they'd always spend some time memorizing that chart. So when they went into the eye exam,
Yeah, they gotta swap those out.
It never changed.
Yeah.
So when they'd all go in, they would know what the lines were.
Right,
I mean,
right.
I think it was a good mental exercise for them to avoid any of that.
You can
And then
remember the chart
also-
a year later. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
There is a bit more to my story about that, but I'm not going to share that today. But that's for another
the fact
time.
that you're still driving.
Yeah, still driving, yeah. So we talked in the first segment all about loneliness. And I think a lot of people listening probably maybe didn't relate to what loneliness was. Or loneliness is when you're by yourself and that's it. Maybe we've opened their eyes a little bit on what loneliness really is. So besides just going out and being a whole different person and making all kinds of friends, what do we do with loneliness? How do we combat that?
Well, it's interesting because I think my case is pretty unique in that. So I talked about how I spent all my time basically just at home, except for work, which was the podcast. And on the podcast, I mean, we talked to different people literally every day. I mean, I'd come in and my whole family's there, and we also have a
Guest or stuff.
We'd also have a guest. We'd have a few other people. Like we'd have someone like answering the phones, playing the music. You know, for a while there was like a solid 6 or 7 people in studio every single day. But it didn't really help the whole loneliness thing. I can't really say why. I came in and we all got along. We had a fun time and everything. And, you know, I would consider the people who worked on the show to be my friends. But we came in, it's work friends. You come in and you see them and you talk to them, and then time's up, and then you just kind of go your separate ways. It feels very ephemeral, I guess.
You know, a lot of guys that come to Face It talk about the fact, well, I don't want to just talk about the weather. I want to go deeper.
Yep.
And that story that Annie just told, that makes me think that the people there are fine people and they're friends, but they're shoulder to shoulder friends.
Yep.
Yeah. That's true.
I
never talked to them about like, what's happening in my life,
Right,
and you
right.
know.
And I think I would assume it's that connection that helps with loneliness.
And how do we build that connection? Well, one of the things that I think is, like, I've always used to say, we're the microwave society. We want everything we want to know, right? You think about the people that you're the closest with, and I always challenge people, do you have 2 or 3 or 4, I think that would be great for guys, right? Do you have 2, 3, 4 people that if you're not in a good spot, you can reach out to and share that with them, right? You talk about the holiday seasons, if you don't want to be there, to call somebody and say how you're feeling.
Including or not including family?
Outside of
Spouse and parents.
Yep.
That sort of thing,
Yep.
siblings.
Yep.
So none of those count.
But
for this.
again, even I would say sometimes with our spouse and siblings, families and siblings and stuff, we don't have that
Right.
connectedness
Oh, yeah.
either.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
like
very true.
they might not be one of those.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I think obviously our spouses. You know, my thing always is what if that person's not there? Do you have somebody else you can contact? Right? If you're really in a bad spot.
Yeah,
like if
right.
you don't have anybody, we know the consequences of that. If you only have one person, like they might not always be able to be there. Right? But those connections take time. And what we talked about before, the trust, the vulnerability.
Yeah.
You know, I think about, you know, even the Face It groups, right? That there's certain guys in the group that people might feel more comfortable contacting.
Sure.
You know, when they're really in a crisis thing. We
Right.
hope it can be everybody, but I hope there's 2 or 3, right? That we have those people, but those connections take time. Like, build relationships. They're relationships.
You know, and a lot of times for people even like me, you get to the point about saying, how come I'm the one that always has to reach out? So-and-so never reaches out to me. If we're going to get together and do anything, and I have to initiate it.
Yep.
Well, again, those don't feel like friends, though.
Right.
And I would say to that, I think sometimes is we have to do a better job of communicating.
Mm-hmm.
That, you know what, I really feel like if you were to share to this person, I feel like I
really enjoy our time together,
but I always
feel
have
like
to reach
I'm
out
the
to
only
you.
one doing it.
Right.
Well, yeah,
Like-
Melissa just went on Facebook and she got rid of like 70, 80% of her friends on there. And she's not the kind of person who just friends everyone. I got 10,000 Facebook friends. She's never been that kind of person.
Yep.
These are all people like she went to college with them or grew up with them or whatever. And one day she just decided to go down the list and she realized like, I haven't talked to this person in 3 years.
Yeah.
I was their best friend for 5 years, 20 years ago or whatever. But they're not part of my life anymore.
That for me, that was known as the Great Purge of 2022. I went through and did the exact same thing.
Yeah, everyone has to do that at some point.
And it was interesting because a while later, someone came back to me and sent me a message and said, "Hey, it gave me you as a suggestion to be a Facebook friend. I thought we were friends."
Define friend.
Like, from 2.5 years ago?
Yeah.
Yep. And I think those are the times where, we have to share. Well, yeah, but I never heard from you.
Yeah.
So I felt like you're busy. Because sometimes I think we expect others to be mind readers or know what we need when we need it without sharing those things. Now, if you share those things and they can't do it, then I think that sends the message.
Right.
But
Well, I think it probably sends a couple of messages.
Mm-hmm.
It probably says that, maybe it's not what you thought, but also how devastating might be the strong word. How defeating would it be to someone that you think is someone you enjoy spending time with, and you bring this up about, hey, how come I'm the only one that does it? You know what? Well, sorry, that's just the way it is. I mean, that kind of takes a stab back at me then.
Yep.
Or that's how I carry it.
Yep.
Well, I mean, you got to think like, let's say, what's a reasonable number of like Facebook friends, like actual friends in your life? Like what, 100?
Yeah, and for me, a lot of times it's got to be friends and family.
Right.
That's where I see the kid pictures and the things that are going on, that kind of thing. That's all really I'm concerned about
Right.
on Facebook.
But talking about like reaching out, okay, let's say you've got 100 Facebook friends. You keep it to friends, family, and that sort of thing. You keep it relatively tight. Mm-hmm. You got 100 people on Facebook. That gives you about 3 days per person to reach out. Are you reaching out to all 100 of these people every year? And we'd probably consider that to be the bare minimum of like maintaining a relationship is once a year you say, hey,
Right.
how's it going? But I mean, even if you really are interested in keeping a relationship with all these people, that's a lot of work. You're just going to be constantly messaging people and starting
Right.
up conversations and stuff. And that's basically all you'd be able to do. And it reminds me of, I need to look this up because I haven't looked it up in a while, but I think it's called the monkey sphere, they called it. And the idea is, I don't know why it's called a monkey sphere, but an anthropologist basically did a study of people to determine how many people they're capable of having as acquaintances even before your brain just kind of starts discarding them. And I think, let's see, it's about 150 people. So there's 150 people that you know their names, you know who they are, you know basically what they like and dislike and that sort of thing. And anything outside of that, they're not really people. They're kind of just like abstracted ideas. Like you might know your mechanic or something like that.
Sure.
You might even know his name. But if I asked you, well,
Yes, I do.
depending on who you are,
He knows his mechanic.
you know
very
your
well.
mechanic. We've had your mechanic in the studio.
You just got the Christmas card.
I bet he's been to all 5 of those places on the travel list.
Okay, how
with
about
his
your
family.
dentist? Let's
Right.
go with the dentist.
yeah.
It's like, you know his name, you know what
Right.
he does. But if I told you to like write him a Christmas card that makes sense to him and his family, would you
Right.
even be able to?
Yeah, no.
Probably not. And that's how most people in our lives are. They're just they're outside of that sphere.
I've always told people, I think friends are like like the planet Saturn and the rings, we need friends at all different points. We need the ones we see on Facebook every once in a while, and we
Right.
just say, how's it going, you too, blah, blah, blah. And we need the ones that, our neighbors that we spend a little more
Yep.
time with.
Yep.
And of course, then we still need those ones in the very, very center, the ones
Yep.
that are closest, our guys that we can call at any time. But, a lot of guys don't have those guys.
No.
Friends, as you've touched on this already.
Yep.
Making friends is hard as hell for all kinds of reasons.
Yep.
No, like I said, I got the one, and I've known him since I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
So that's basically the last time I made a good friend was when
Right.
I was 12,
Yeah.
Yep.
and it is difficult.
But it's putting yourself out there, too, in certain situations. And then once you're there, to try to develop it. Because I will say that I've met some good friends, people that I would say are in that circle,
Yeah.
that face it.
Right.
And there's different areas, right? Some were neighborhood friends. My neighborhood
Right.
friends from Duluth, those guys that I can call at any point, and I can, let them know
Yep.
if I'm hurting and stuff.
Yep.
Now there's people that face it
Right.
because I've been there, but those didn't happen the first time I went to the meeting. It was the continued. It's the effort to put in that.
Right.
Because you're not going to put in the effort to 150 people all the
Right.
time, but I don't do that, but I do it for, 2 or 3 people that face it.
So
I
if
do
a
it for the
guy's
3
listening and
neighborhood guys.
says, you know what, I'm just not good at making friends. I'm afraid to just reach out and do it. What would you tell them? What kind of words of advice or encouragement could you give that person?
That's a great question.
Yeah, you're going to need to think for a couple of weeks on that one, I think.
No, I think it's that vulnerability piece and not being afraid of, what's holding you back
Right.
from doing those, finding some common interests.
So I'm going to ask this person to be my friend, but I'm afraid that they don't want to be my friend.
I'm not going to ask them to be my friend. I'm going to ask them to maybe do some things.
Well,
Yeah, grown-ups
to-
don't go up to each other and say, "Will you be
to-
my friend?" That would be a
to-
very weird thing to do.
Right, no, I get what you're saying, but to see if you've got some commonalities, right? The thing
Right.
with Face It is, guys, like, there was that judgment piece was kind of taken out right away,
Okay.
right? So I know this person is probably not going to judge me for what I do. Now, I may not have common interest with that person, so I don't really pursue that person, right? But I do different things, right? So when I go watch a football game with friends, right, or I do stuff, maybe there's some people in there that I can have a conversation with,
Right.
and then maybe follow up with that, and then maybe see if there's common interest. But I think if there's 15 people in the room, I'm not going to do it with all 15 people.
Right.
But
that is a way to do it as opposed to just strictly one-on-one.
Right.
Is to be in a group of something that you have interest in, so that makes it a little easier. And
Yep.
who knows what happens when you start
Yep.
talking to somebody about model airplanes or whatever it may be.
Exactly.
You
Well,
never
and I
know.
think that's how kids make friends too. I mean, they make friends in school, group settings.
Yeah.
That's what they make. The playground is another group setting. It's very rare that it's just like 2 kids alone in a room and they just become friends, because that's just like not a situation they ever find themselves in. The group setting really makes it a lot easier.
Because relationships develop, and they take time, and the willingness to do it, being vulnerable, of wanting that, but questioning right now, would it be better if I had some other people?
Right. Is there a way to practice vulnerability?
I mean, just do it. It's like learning to read. You just do it. Do it over and over, and eventually you get good at it.
I don't like to read.
Well, maybe you should do it more.
Wow.
Maybe you should become vulnerable by reading.
Who brought the Mr. Positive Bear today?
exactly.
Holy cow. What about therapy? Is therapy, you're the professional in this area. I mean, has that been helpful? Could that be helpful for someone that kind of is dealing with some of this loneliness stuff we're talking about?
Absolutely, because it's finding a place where you're comfortable, and hopefully, and not that I really like this term, but therapy can provide a safe space that you can say these things without feeling judged. Nobody's really said anything to me that surprised me or I get it,
Sure.
right? And
Sure.
we've heard all these things, and it's okay because it's not going to get out there to anybody else.
Right.
So when you say therapy, are you referring to the group therapy that you do at Face It? Or are you talking about like one-on-one?
I'm
with
talking one-on-one.
Okay.
Because face it, we don't do therapy.
Right.
Well, yeah, it's
That's
not.
all pure
It's
support.
group.
Right.
It's
But it's
yeah.
still, I mean, there in group, it's nice. The nice thing is because there's a lot of opinions.
Right.
But something like this, I think, might benefit people so they could get more to what their deal is.
Yep.
And because maybe they're great at making friends, but maybe they're afraid of intimacy, or maybe they don't want to talk to people and they're introverts and they don't want to be around. I mean, there's a lot of things involved.
And what's holding you, just what you're saying, what's holding you back?
Yeah.
What is the fear?
Yeah.
Right? Your fear could be the abandonment issue.
Right.
Okay, how do we challenge those
rejection, all
thoughts?
that
The
stuff,
rejection.
sure.
Okay. And again, you've heard me say this a lot in group. Is that a good story or a true story?
Right.
Like show me the facts
Yeah.
that it's scary. I get all
Right.
that.
Right.
But being lonely is also kind of scary.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not fun.
Yeah.
Right? So to build these over time, to give tools.
Something I've done with this, before we need to take a break, one more break, but before we do this, one thing that I've done over the years is each morning I'll get up and I'll just go through my phone and I'll send out 3 text messages, 3 different people, just randoms, and just say, man, more snow today, back's getting sore from all the shoveling. And that's it, or something. And the responses you get back start conversations.
Yep.
And maybe it's, you know what, I know I have to shovel too, my snowblower broke down, and I was so pissed off. And I just screamed at the guy because he couldn't get it fixed and blah, blah, blah. And, well, why were you getting so mad at him? I mean, it's busy time, whatever. But
Yep.
conversations and friendships, and deeper than just the weather, basically, come out of those little text messages. And they're, in a way, for me, it was always a safe way to do it. It was my terms, my everything. I did it when I wanted to do it. I did it every morning, and that kind of thing. It was just another way to keep connections.
But let me ask you this. There was still a risk there, right?
There was, and that the risk came to where I was mentally. Because if someone didn't respond, they're probably busy. If I'm in a good place.
Yep.
If I'm not in a good place, well, see, they don't want to talk to me.
Well, that's an interesting thing.
So I would delete their contact.
These days,
why I don't text you anymore.
You can see when someone reads your message, and when
it says read, yeah.
and when it arrives. So you can't really rely on that anymore. Because
Right.
if you see they read your message and they never respond, well, now it becomes a whole lot harder to be like, oh well, maybe they just they'll get back to it eventually. You'll be like, okay, you open this message up and you read it. Well, why can't you just spend the 5 seconds responding?
Right.
But again, because I was taking my wife to the hospital because she was in a car accident.
Yeah, and there's valid
So,
reasons.
But my point is you took a risk.
Right.
But it sounds like it also had some benefits.
And that's the thing, because I think it people didn't get back to you all the time.
Yep.
And some people said, yeah, it sucks. And then other people went into more. You kind of get a mixed bag of stuff.
Yep.
I think if all of a sudden 3 people would have came back with big, long conversations, that probably would have been a little overwhelming to
Exactly.
me too.
Yep.
It's like, man, I don't want to carry on all this.
But you're not expecting it.
I wanted a little something, but not a lot of this stuff. So, yeah. So, anyway, that was just something that I did that helped me keep engaged in interacting with people. So,
But all these things can be scary.
Yeah.
Because we're putting ourselves out there.
right.
But I think, it's the old risk reward, right? If we take the risk, we might get some reward back.
Right.
And we don't know. And then when we don't, that's the big question is how can we challenge that?
Right.
Right? This person doesn't get back to me because they don't like me. Okay, fine, I'll delete
Right.
them. We don't know that.
Right.
Don't make
Yeah.
up that story.
Yeah.
But that's tough depending upon the spot that you're
Where
in.
you're in, you usually
Yep.
can make those bad decisions like that or not too. Who knows?
Yep.
So, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with one more segment talking about loneliness.
Founded in 2006 by Josh Egner, JT Egner Construction is a trusted commercial construction company built on a passion for serving clients and building lasting partnerships. Every project is approached from the client's perspective, listening to their needs, understanding their vision, and delivering tailored solutions that align with their unique goals. JT Agner specializes in helping both for-profit and nonprofit organizations build, manage, and improve their facilities. Their expertise spans sectors like industrial sites, medical facilities, corporate headquarters, worship spaces and childcare centers, senior living communities, retail spaces, and restaurants. Whether it's ground-up construction, renovations and additions, or ongoing facility management, their mission is to partner with leadership teams to create functional and efficient spaces. Josh shares, "What drives me is the joy of serving others, working as part of a team, and solving challenges. We truly love our work. We know construction can be stressful, so we value the opportunity to guide you every step of the way from the initial conception to the final completion." So for all your commercial construction needs, reach out to Josh and the team at JT Agner Construction at 952-985-0582 or online at jtagner.com.
You're listening to the What's the Point podcast, where you are the point. And now your hosts, Mark Meier, Bill Deckus, and Mark Wick.
You know, welcome back, but I don't know why it bothers me so much that I keep saying welcome back with Mark Meier, because he's not here.
It's funny you should say that. I'm thinking, should we change the order?
So I can cut it off before it says his name?
Yeah, or beep it out like a swear word?
Good point there, too.
That's all in engineering
that's the
there.
technical. I think it sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, what we do on the
Bill Deckus.
What we do on our show is
Mark
we
Meier.
each announce ourselves. So
I know, I saw that. I noticed that this morning when you guys were talking about that.
It'd be like, say our names. Therefore, if you're not here, you don't get credit.
Oh, well, maybe that's part of it.
Wow.
I mean, I know he's not getting paid for this episode, so there's that.
We split that then,
That's
right?
right.
That goes between the three of
all
us.
All three of us take his share.
The three of us get that share. Nice.
You snooze, you lose.
Before Christmas.
So we've been spending today talking about loneliness. And again, I think one of the big things is, much like trauma, when we talk about trauma, I think a lot of guys don't really understand loneliness or can't really put their finger on what these feelings are they're having. Hopefully maybe today some things we talked about will let some guys realize that, hey, maybe that is something I'm dealing with, is some loneliness. Normally right now, if we had a guest, we don't have a guest, but if we had a guest, we would say, you know what, tell someone that's listening to this podcast, give them some words of advice or some words of encouragement. Since we don't have a guest, I'm going to turn to you, Mr. Wick. What would you tell someone that's listening to this thing and thought, that's kind of interesting, some of that stuff, maybe. What would you tell them if you could?
A lot of times we'll ask, not that I'm skirting this, but what did you learn today? I think what I learned today is we do take this for granted somewhat, the loneliness piece. Mm-hmm. And what would I say to somebody? Reach out to somebody. But also with this discussion, that's scary as hell. That's really tough to do, right? And again, we'll say these things that to us sitting here right now make perfect sense. Yep. But to that person that living it is like, I can't. Yeah. I don't know how. Yep. Right? And if you can't or you don't know how, this is what we do this for, but I would say reach out to Face It. Yeah. Because what that really tells me is you want to do it, but something's getting in the way. Right. And I know in my group, there's 10 guys that would say, I get it. Yeah. Help me too. Because we did have this discussion with, one of our men a couple of sessions ago about how again, it's the opposite. 70 years old, living by himself, feeling the loneliness piece. Right. But what can you do? And that's the same thing. Like, we're not going to tell him, well, just go to a football game, go do this. Yeah.
Go find friends.
Yeah, so it is really tough. But hopefully we can provide that for him. Right. Like, hey, that's great. What can I do? Can I give you a call? Can we talk? But that's a group that's been formed over the years. Right. Right. So to reach out, and a safe place to reach out, I think, is Face It. Right. Right.
Maybe look for some groups. Maybe, there's, it still baffles me about all the resources out there, but yet so many people don't use them out of fear, out of lack of knowledge, whatever it may be. There's all kinds of different obstacles. But there are so many. I know we have a guy in one of my groups who's a senior citizen, and we were talking about the senior center, and I don't go there. Well, why not? Do you like to play cards? Yeah, well, they have card groups there. I mean,
Yep.
there's a way to connect with people.
Yep.
But I think fear, whatever it may be,
Yep.
really handcuffs a lot of us. So
It reminds me of something my grandpa said when he was quite old. He was in his 90s, and he had no friends, which in your 90s is probably fairly common.
Yeah.
And my mom, so his daughter, so it'd be my mom's dad,
Yep.
we're talking about. She's like, you're living in this, senior living place. There's a bunch of people here, and like you said, they're all playing cards and that sort of thing. Why don't you go make friends? And he basically said that at my age, they're just gonna die pretty soon anyway. So
Yeah.
what's the point?
Yeah.
And I mean, I get it.
Right.
If you're 90 years old, and he also said, so we were like, not everyone in here is 90.
Right.
There's people in their mid 70s,
Sure.
and he's like, I don't have anything in common with those young people.
Yeah.
So it really, the perspective is, we think of everyone over a certain age as being just like old, like an
Right.
old monolith.
Right.
But no, from his perspective, a 75-year-old was like this kid. And it's like, what am I going to talk to them about the newfangled devices? It's like,
Yep.
it's hard making friends basically anytime after you're probably like in your 20s for one reason or another, I think.
There was an episode of 2.5 Men where Charlie went and saw a therapist, and she said, well, what do you have for friends? And he goes, friends? I don't have any friends. She goes, that's really sad. He goes, I'm an adult. I have acquaintances.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have friends. That's interesting.
That's very true.
Yeah.
And very sad.
And that's what I mean, too. And I think that's what they realized, too, in the show, even, is that, we need more of that. We need more of those friends. What I've learned, we're still doing what I've learned that this is not something that's easily identified or identifiable. It's mental health. I've always struggled with this. Mental health, when you talk about like depression, you know what? You may sleep too much, or you may not sleep at all.
Yep.
You may eat too much, or you may not eat at all. You may, it was both sides of the spectrum for the same thing.
Yep.
And that's why we always say there's no MRI, there's no blood test for it. And the same kind of goes for loneliness.
Absolutely.
This is something that's got to be figured out because there is no blood test, there is no MRI, there is no x-ray that you can do and say, oh, yep, right there. See, I can see that right there. That means you're lonely.
That's the lonely button.
Yeah.
Yep.
And again, I think the loneliness of someone who's 90, who's, you always think about, too, when you go to someone's grandparents' funeral, you look at the people around there, and it's mostly younger family because, of course, most of their friends have passed on.
Absolutely.
At 90, you've outlived most of them.
Well, he outlived every one of his friends.
And, even I can see why that could be lonely.
Yep.
That was your connection. That was everything in your past basically is now gone.
And yet he has several children. He's got dozens and dozens of grandchildren.
Sure. Yep.
I mean, he's got tons of family, and we're all visiting him all the time and stuff like that, but he doesn't have peers.
Right.
Yep.
And that's such a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Facebook friend, right? It's the that kind of thing. So yeah, I think what I've learned about all this today, even talking about more, is the complexity of it all.
Yep.
And I think that's what a lot of guys struggle with, whether it's any level of mental health, is actually putting a name to something.
Mm-hmm.
I think once people figure out what anxiety really is, or what depression really is, or what ADHD really is, I think it's scary up until then. Once you figure it out, it can be scary as well.
Yeah. But
at least you have something you're working on. Mm-hmm. So I think that's one thing I learned, is that this is a complicated issue and it's hard to really put your finger on.
And that's why one of the most destructive things I see, especially in a lot of men, is they'll have some sort of health problem, and you're telling them for months and months, you need to go see a doctor or something like that.
Yeah.
And the idea in their head is basically like, once I get told that it exists, then it starts to exist.
Yeah.
As long as I don't get the diagnosis, it can't hurt me.
Right.
And, that's obviously, it sounds ridiculous to most people when you're talking about something like, cancer. Either you have it or you don't. A doctor seeing it isn't going to make it start hurting you. If you have it, you got to take care of it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people do seem to think that way when it comes to mental health. It's like, if I go get diagnosed as depressed, then now all of a sudden I'm the depressed guy. And,
Yep.
Everything I do
that's your
is
label, right?
Yep, everything I do is colored by this diagnosis of depression. But prior to the label, you still had it, and it was still affecting you. But it's easier to think that it won't affect you if you ignore it when it's something you can't see or feel or that sort of thing.
And this is a perfect time for one of your most famous quotes that your therapist or doctor told you. Depression is not your problem.
Yep.
The fact that you're not doing anything about it is your problem.
I thought you were going to say if it was easy, it would be called basketball.
Well, yeah.
Or there's no I in. We'll get to that one later. But I also think when we talk to a lot of guys, and I can speak for myself, once that got out there, it was like a huge weight lifted.
Right. Yep.
Because now, because one of the things with mental health is you can't see, you can't test for it, you can hide it, we can deny it.
Right.
And we don't want to, around others, show that we're sad or this or that. So we hide it. And that weight gets so heavy.
Right.
You know, there's a great, I tell you this, there's a great commercial in the UK about a soccer game, and there's two guys that sit in these chairs every game, and the one guy's cheering, woo, and the other guy's just kind of sitting there normal. And the guy, woo, you know, and it goes on and on and on. And then one day, one of the guys doesn't show up. They come to find out he died. And which guy was it?
The cheering guy.
Yep. You know, because again, he wanted everybody to think he was good. He was okay, you know?
Yep.
And, you know, that's the problem with it, is that.
Well, and I think, too, a lot of times if you go in and someone tells you you're depressed or you have depression or anything like that, I mean, a lot of guys right away think this is that now he's entered One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know,
they're going to put me on Haldol and put me in a straitjacket.
Right. That's what depression is. I saw it on a movie one time. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, God. Movies have done so much damage to the perception of mental health. I can't even begin. That's a conversation for like 3 or 4 more shows.
Yep. Because it puts it in such a light, like you said, Andy. If you go to the doctor with something, now you're identified. That's your label now. You're the press guy. And although you can't start working on something until you know what it is, it's still hard to even hear those words sometimes.
But we're not our diagnoses. I always tell people in my talks, I'm not depression. I'm Mark. I live with it. I determine who I am. I define who I am. Not this disease.
Well, and then, of course, there's the flip side of you don't want to be the label, but there's plenty of people out there who think, I say, you know, like I've got bipolar disorder. I don't in real life. I'm just saying this is hypothetical, but okay.
Are you sure you don't?
I suppose I've never been actually looked at, but I can tell you I don't feel terribly manic.
We're going to talk about that on the next day. Go ahead.
So let's say I'm bipolar. I go to a bunch of people and I say, okay, I've got bipolar disorder. And a lot of the time, the response that you're going to get is, you know, it's like, oh, you're probably just not eating enough broccoli and getting enough sunlight. Or, you know, it's just, you know, you need a new outlook on life and it'll resolve itself. And a lot of these things just don't exist. They're all just like, not even psychological. Psychological disorders exist, obviously. Everyone knows that. But it's like even a step beyond that, where it's just kind of like something you're making up and you just need to like stop doing it. It's like a stop hitting yourself kind of thing. Stop being depressed. Stop being depressed.
And I think that's why we have this podcast, to hopefully educate people, right? Because if it's something that the more we know, the better we can do. And I'm going to go back to Ted Lasso. Whether it's this isolation piece, trying to make connections and that, with any of these things we talk about, be curious. Be curious.
Not judgmental. Barbecue sauce. I've never seen that show. I've had no interest in it, but I've seen that clip a gazillion times when I'm doom scrolling on TikTok or whatever.
Yeah, well, you should watch it.
There you go. Anyway, well, this is a very interesting episode. Thank you guys both for joining in on the conversation and being open and honest and talking about what this stuff is, because this is something a lot of us deal with, and we just don't know what to do with it. It doesn't have a label. We just struggle with it.
Like I said, I think previous show, I would bet nearly 100% of people deal with something like this at some point in their lives. It may be abnormal, but it doesn't necessarily have to be unhealthy to go through episodes of whatever. Because, sometimes life really does suck. And sometimes being depressed is the correct response to what happens in your life.
Right.
You don't want to be depressed for 5 years straight.
Right.
That's usually not, the way to be.
And I think with our topic today, it's a good reminder that I know it's on the things that face it. The signs, you're what? You're not what?
Oh,
You're not alone.
you're not alone. Yeah.
You might feel lonely. You might feel
Right.
like it.
Right.
That's a feeling.
Right.
It's not you're not alone.
Right.
There's people out there.
Yeah.
So again, please reach out.
The message today is to reach out. So thank you guys so much. This was a great talk. I love talking about stuff like this. It really makes me think and reflect on even my own life and my own journey. So thanks for all you guys watching and listening. We appreciate each and every one of you, and we'll hope to see you again real soon.
You've been listening to What's the Point podcast, where you are the point. It's real men telling real stories, from depression to anxiety. No doctors or professionals, just real men talking about real issues. For more, visit the Face It Foundation's website at www.faceitfoundation.org to ask questions for future episodes. Send us an email at wtpointpodcast@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook at What's the Point Podcast, and find us on Twitter at WTPointPodcast. Till next time. This is What's the Point podcast. And remember, you are the point.